come to the Philippines, will you find happiness or disappointment? There's around 115 million people here in the Philippines. There's about 1,000 islands that people live on and inhabit, each with its different customs and cultures. There's the cities, there's the province, and then there's the in-betweens. I think to start, it depends upon your expectations. You know, what vloggers have you been listening to? What type of mindset have you been developing since you've been researching and thinking about coming to the Philippines? It's probably impossible to envision coming to the Philippines without it also envisioning what your lifestyle will be like. If you haven't traveled in Southeast Asia or spent time here, I mean, how would you even know where to start with that? If you're like me, you watched probably every video you could find regarding the Philippines. Back then, there was only a handful of guys, and they were all from Dumaguete, and one was from Cebu. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what it was like for me, what my expectations were, what happened when I got here, and how things are now. Now, there's two camps, basically. There's those that talk about living the Western lifestyle, and you need a certain minimum amount of money to do that. And there's nothing but Quonset huts and crappy houses in the province. And that's the only way that you can find happiness in the Philippines. Quite frankly, where I live, there's a lot of doctors, lawyers, and politicians who prefer not to live in Angel City. Around me is a lot of mini mansions they could only dream to live in. But they've never lived in the province, so what do they know? Never been here experts. And there's guys like me who talk about coming from the province and living on a much lower budget, finding absolute happiness on a lot less than what I imagined having a Western lifestyle here in the Philippines. Now, to be fair, most of them have never spent any time in the province, but again, it's pretty arrogant to think that nobody else can be happy unless you live like they do. They talk about the dating here and like this culture is nothing but a big Sadie Hawkins dance. So they find that pretty much on their Social Security income, they can get a pretty nice place to live, they can furnish it, they can have the big screen TV, they can travel. Most of them have never even had this lifestyle in America before they got here, but that was part of their dream. That was their mindset on their way here. Then they end up getting disappointed after they've been here. In the American dream that I always had, basically you could make a checklist, 1 through 10, of the things that I wanted to have at retirement and what my life was going to be like. So it always only makes sense that I would still have that top 10 list of my wishes, dreams, and desires when I was imagining what life would be like when I got here. So I wanted a premium lifestyle somewhere near the ocean or in the mountains in a cool little city. Now, when I was young, like grade school, junior high, I lived in the country. Then when I got older, I pretty much either lived in San Diego most of my life or San Francisco. So coming to the Philippines, talking about the simple life was just, it wasn't even on my radar. Not a thought, not a desire. And being stuck in the province to me at that point would be like living in hell. But what did I know? I'd never even been to the province. It was just contempt prior to investigation. I just didn't know. Now, if I'd have come here more with an open mind instead of thinking that I knew everything, because I'd watched some vloggers who thought they knew everything, the adjustment period would have been a lot easier, a lot less stressful, a lot less frustrating for me. Knowing what I thought I wanted when I got here, I'd have saved myself a lot of frustration when adjusting to this new culture, a new way of life. You know, I want to use an example of like Dumaguete compared to where I live now. And I love Dumaguete. I think it's one of the best places you could possibly go when you first get off the boat to experience a soft landing. There's lots of expats there, very friendly. It's one of the nicest places that I ever landed when I got to the Philippines. I met a lot of nice guys just within the first few hours of being in Dumaguete. The reason I'm choosing to use Dumaguete as an example is because that's pretty much everything that I knew about the Philippines before I got here, because that's where all the vloggers were from, the ones that I listened to. There was only a handful of them in those days. I mean, I just knew that I wanted to get a little house up in the hill in Valencia. It's kind of amazing since I'd never been there, right? Anyway, that was my mindset. That's all I knew is what I heard from the vloggers. The reason I started my channel actually is because my experience has been so much different from the vloggers that I used to listen to. So when I'm doing my vlogs, I'm talking about the things that I wish that I knew before I got here to help me with my envisioning what my lifestyle would be like when I got here. Now, my lifestyle, granted, is different than most of the guys that are here in the Philippines, whether they're centered in Angeles City, Makati, Dumaguete, Cebu, wherever they're from. But that's the entire point of this channel. So let's say compare me living in Valencia to me living in Porac. In Porac, I'm 25 minutes from getting on an airplane that would take me to anywhere on the planet. In Dumaguete, the airport there will take you to most places in the Philippines. Once you get to another airport, that's when you can fly out to anywhere on the planet. Here, where I'm at, I'm within 25 to 35 minutes from 2 different malls, which are 1.5 million square feet. I mean, 1.5 million square feet, all under roof, all air conditioned. It's where the largest Nike store I've ever seen in the world is, the largest Y&M, the only Oakley store I've ever seen, which sells nothing but Oakley products, and on and on and on. There's 30 different restaurants there that were started in America. Living in Dumaguete, I would have to go to Cebu to find that. Nightlife, I'm 25 minutes from Walking Street. I don't go there, but it's there if I wanted to. There's casinos, there's all kinds of activities, there's Clark, there's just about everything you can imagine here. Now, to have access to that in Dumaguete, again, you'd need to go to Cebu. When it comes to nightlife, there's an area in San Diego called the Gas Lamp, and on Fridays and Saturdays, you could set your watch by the time that I get down there, and I wouldn't leave till closing time. And I did that for years. In that area, there's over 100 restaurants, bars, and nightclubs. Hard Rock Cafe to 5-star Thai restaurants. There's house music, there's rock, there's country, there's jazz. About anything you can imagine is there. Diners and so on. If you don't like the music when you walk in the door, you go upstairs. And if you don't like the live music on the roof, you go down to the sports bar in the basement. On any given Friday or Saturday night, there's probably 30 to 50,000 people down there. So when it comes to nightlife, I'm not easily impressed. So you can't say I don't know what I'm missing, because I'm not missing it. Now, the point is that when I got here, I had a different vision of what my life would be like. Now, here's a little backstory I have never talked about. When I got here, not too long afterwards, I was sick, but I had a dentist appointment, so I borrowed a car to go into the city to my appointment. On the way home, the car crashed. My lapse of judgment should have told me that if I was too sick to ride a jeepney, I was probably too sick to drive. Long story short, I'm stuck here in the province until I paid off the car. Bottom line is, I got acclimated to the culture here. I went about a year and a half from the time I got here. The only time I would talk to somebody from the West was when I was standing in line at the hypermarket for, 15 or 20 minutes. The first Westerners I really met in the Philippines was about a year and a half after I'd been here, and that was in Dumaguete. That's when I was completely immersed in the local Filipino culture, the Luzon Filipino culture for that matter. And when I got here, I'd had a long-distance relationship with a girl that I had met when I was here in 2016. So also not only paying off the car, but I was trying to finish a house that I started before I got here. The shell was basically built while I was still in America, where I would send some money ahead. So financially, I was kind of stuck here in the province because I was paying off a car that I crashed, and I was also finishing a little house build. And that's when I discovered what my budget could be, and that's eating everything I want: fish, chicken, pork, and almost never, ever rice. And I still don't eat rice. And that budget was around $500 a month. So to say I'm lying is moronic. I've shown it in my videos. I've shown the marketplace. I've shown the prices. I mean, what more can you do? As I've discussed in other videos, it's almost impossible to be negative in an area where everybody's so positive. I've ended up becoming a person who's adapted a lot of the Filipino type culture as far as happiness, materialistic things, and so on. No doubt you see a lot of poverty here, but you also see a lot of very happy people. Now, a lot of the guys that I'm talking about with different points of view, their entire dream of coming to the Philippines was maybe to find a girl, but also to live a lifestyle that they could afford to live on their retirement income, which we could no longer do in America. Now, some guys' dream is to come to the Philippines and live an upscale Western lifestyle. But that doesn't mean other people aren't happy living differently. Talk about living comfortably on $1,000 a month, and they call you a liar. Well, if you look at any of my videos with the budgets there, you'll see that there's 10 to 20 people on every video I have talking about how their lifestyle is probably $1,000 a month or less. They've been here for years. They're happy. They're married. They got kids. They got houses. All of that kind of thing. It's just really arrogant to think that nobody else can live differently than they do and be happy. A lifestyle they could no longer afford. And that was pretty much what I had in mind also, and I think I would be one of them if I had not been stuck in the province. Now, I'd probably still have that little house in Valencia. I'm pretty sure I would not have a YouTube channel because my story wouldn't be that much different than everybody else that's there. The bottom line, my friends, is you can have an upscale, Makati, Western lifestyle, or you can live in the province or somewhere in between like Dumaguete. Now, if you watch many of my videos, you know that I'm very passionate about how happy I am here in the culture and the lifestyle that has evolved for me. Now, this channel is about all the choices that you have available to you on average Social Security income. If you can find a way to come here with an open mind, you may find a lifestyle that you never knew existed and a level of happiness that never even occurred to you. And that's what happened to me, and I'm so grateful, actually. You know, in so many videos, it compares the Philippines to the United States, for example, because that's all we know. I find the most amazing part of being here is the things that you can't compare to the Western lifestyle. And those are also the things that are almost sometimes impossible to accurately describe. But if you can come here with an open mind and not be so rigid in the way it's set and what you plan to do when you hit the ground running, you may find a rewarding and fulfilling lifestyle that you never even imagined. Try to search for happiness as opposed to just recreating a Western lifestyle. Anyway, that's what I've got for you on this video, my friends. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I promise I will get back to you.
A new place, a new home, for a while, let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back, take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by, life is good, best I've ever felt. Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself. Oh, I feel so alive. As I reach out to the sky. I found my way. I was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day. Cause I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay.